All right, today's lesson is on determinants. Determinants are used to solve systems of equations using Cramer's rule. And all square matrices have a determinant. The determinant, it's important to understand that the determinant is actually a value. It's not a matrix. There's different notations for determinants. So you can write DET and then use the matrix brackets. Or the more commonly used notation is what looks like the absolute value bar brackets. And that is understood to be the equivalent of finding the determinant of some 2x2 matrix, 3x3 matrix, and so forth. So to find the value of the determinant or the determinant, you multiply the value in the top left times the value in the bottom right, and then subtract the product of the value in the bottom left and the value in the top right. All right, for example, if we're trying to find the determinant of 8, 4, 7, 6, we would multiply 8 times 6 and then subtract 7 times 4. When we do that, we get 20. Like I stated earlier, all square matrices have a determinant. So you could also find the value of a third order determinant or a 3x3 determinant. What you want to do is you want to use the minor elements. The minor elements are determinants are found by excluding rows and columns. So the first part of finding the determinant for a third order determinant, we want to take the first element in the first row, first column, first row, and we're going to multiply that by all the elements that are not in the same row or column as A1. So multiply A1 and then cross out everything else that's in the same row and column as A1. And we're going to multiply A1 by the determinant of that 2x2 matrix. And then to find the next part of finding that determinant, we're going to take the next element in the first row, which is B1, and we're going to subtract the product of B1 and the remaining 2x2 matrix whenever we cross out everything else that's in the same row as B1. Everything else that's in the same row and column as B1. So once we cross out everything else that's in the same row and column as B1, we're left with A2, C2, A3, and C3. And then do that same thing for the last element in the first row. We're going to add that last term. So we're going to add C1 times the remaining elements after we cross out all the elements that are in the same row and column as C1. When we cross those elements out, we're left with A2, B2, A3, and B3. All right, so example 2, we want to find the determinant of this third order determinant, or this 3x3. So again, we take the first element in the first row, which is -4. If we cross out all the other elements that are in the same row and column as -4, we'll be left with -1, 3, 4, and -3. And then go on to the second element in the first row, which is -6. And we're going to multiply that by the remaining elements that are not in the same row and column as -6. That would be 5, 3, -2, and -3. And then lastly, we're going to add the last element in the first row, which is the 2, and multiply that by the remaining elements when we cross out the elements that are in the same row and column as the 2. So that would be 5, -1, -2, and 4. All right, the determinant, that first determinant will give us a value of -9. So -4 times -9. The second determinant gives us a value of -9. So we have a -6, which gives us a +6. And then the last determinant gives us a value of 18. So the last term is 2 times 18. When we simplify everything, we get a value of 18 for this third order determinant.